Well, hey folks, it's your old pal, King Waspinator here, and welcome back to Total Party Skills. I wanted to tell you a little bit about one of the games I put out. It's available on digital, on DriveThruRPG, or on Kindle, on Amazon right now. Having a little issues getting it formatted properly for print, so hopefully we'll get that resolved sooner or later. But you can at least get this version if you're so inclined. It's a OSR Campaign source book. Based on the Whitebox rules, which means that you could also use it real easily with swords and wizardry, or easily convert it over to basic fantasy RPG or most other OSR systems. The basic idea is it's a post-human world, about 200 years after kind of like a rapture-like event, took humanity out of the picture. Elves are long gone, dwarves are long gone, so, the halflings and half-elves and other civilized races have had to turn to orcs for protection against the vampires and other evil creatures that used to, hide in the cities of man, and that are now, operating openly. The vampires in particular, because of so much of their food supply disappearing literally overnight, have had to turn to farming and harvesting halflings as domesticated livestock. And so, you can kind of say the basic gist is it's crusading armies of orcs and gnolls fighting to save domesticated halflings from the minions of vampires. That's a very, simplistic way of looking at it, and it's kind of more the concept that you would run with if you're going to want to try to use the miniature war game rules I include at the very end of the book. But as just a regular OSR setting, I mean, there's tons of different, adventure opportunities. It's a kind of a post-apocalyptic fantasy world. Wilderness has come back. There's ruins everywhere. If you're a fan of Frank Frazetta art or Ralph Bakshi's Fire and Ice, it's got tons of that. The orcs in this setting are more skewed towards the Tolkien version of orcs, and that these are they were elves that were turned into a warrior race, and then after the war that they were made for was over, the elves rejected them. And so even though these orcs aren't being retconned so that they weren't villains throughout history, you get a bit more of their perspective on why they came across that way, and that they're not necessarily as dumb as people perceive them to be. That's kind of more of a function of the fact that they just have bad charisma. But, if you look at how Tolkien presented orcs, low-key, they're the most technologically advanced race in that setting, because they actually, had industrial engineering and stuff like that. And I kind of treat them the same here. So yeah, check it out. It's a playtest edition. I do want to stress that. That means, it's entirely self-financed with a budget of $0, written on a Chromebook. It'll very much remind you of, first edition AD&D kind of books. The original first edition World of Greyhawk campaign source book is very much something I kind of used as a model for what I was aiming for here. You'll definitely get your money's worth in text. Tons of very detailed, expansive, unfolding encounter tables for each of the major environments described in the world. That not only include villainous encounters, but you also have potentially friendly encounters, and kind of a random location generator kind of thing going on. The world's designed so that when characters, if they get up to a high enough level that they're able to do their build a stronghold thing, they'll be able to actually have space to do that in. And you can always use the Rule Cyclopedia for D&D, or RPG Pundit's Old School Companion, if you want some more detailed, house running kind of rules. There's a lot of stuff that I want to eventually put in a premium version of this. And part of why this is a playtest version is I don't feel that at my current Twitter and YouTube following that, I'm really worthy of trying to stick out a Kickstarter and try to raise funds. I don't really think it would get that far where I am right now. So I wanted to put out this playtest edition version just to kind of help build word of mouth. And if that succeeds and people seem to like it and get some feedback and develop a bit of a community around Orc and Bone, then, down the road, that'll be an option, and we'll get a much more polished book with all the fresh original artwork everyone seems to want. From my point of view, what you're really buying with a role-playing game isn't the pretty pictures. You can go on Google and look at pictures of what these things look like. What you're buying is the text and the ideas, and not even so much the ideas. What you're buying is how well the book inspires you to have ideas. And I feel like I did a pretty good job here. I got RPG Pundit to consult on it, and you know, he was reluctant because he's not into non-human stuff. So, and I managed to actually get him to at least, you know, acknowledge that, you know, like it's good. So, you know, that being what it is, this has been a King Waspinator joint. Thanks for watching Total Party Skills. Hit like and subscribe. Tell me in the comments what a terrible person I am, and have a good day.